You have heard this all before. California has one of the largest economies in the world. Depending on the year, it ranks around 4th or 5th globally. It's an economic powerhouse, a magnet for jobs, innovation, and opportunity. And yet, California's housing market is one of the most strained in the country. Every year, hundreds of thousands of real estate transactions take place, representing hundreds of billions of dollars in activity. When you include construction, lending, and related industries, housing makes up a massive share of the state's economy. And still, California is missing somewhere between 840,000 and over 3 million homes. Let that sink in. There's short enough housing to shelter a population roughly the size of Iowa, in one of the richest, most dynamic economies in the world. How do you end up millions of homes short? This wasn't an accident. It was built step by step over decades. California stopped building enough housing. For decades, the state has needed to build roughly 180,000 homes per year just to keep up with population growth and demand. Supply must keep up with demand, or else price increases. The reality is that the state has an average of fewer than 80,000 units per year. That gap, year after year, creates a compounding effect. In 1970, California home prices were only about 5% higher than the national average. By 1980, they had pulled ahead dramatically. Fast forward to today, and California homes are roughly 40% more expensive than the national median. That gap didn't happen overnight. It's the result of decades of falling behind on housing supply. That's how you get to a deficit of 1 to 3 million homes. But that raises a bigger question. Why didn't builders just build more? The first major cause: local zoning laws and community resistance. In many California cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, huge portions of land are zoned only for single-family homes. That means no apartments, no duplexes, no multi-unit housing, even in areas with massive demand. So, what happens when developers propose new housing? They run into something called NIMBYism. Not in my backyard. Local residents often push back. More building means too much traffic, or it'll change neighborhood character, or property values might drop. And a prevailing wind in California, what will it do to the environment? And because local governments control zoning, those voices of current homeowners often win. The story is almost always the same. Restricted zoning means fewer units allowed. Community opposition will mean projects get delayed or canceled. In the end, California finds itself with as much as 3 million housing shortage and some of the most expensive property in the US. Housing costs are so high, in fact, that they distort the state's entire economy. Let's say your project makes it through the Byzantine world of California government. It's not over. California has one of the most complex regulatory environments in the country. I bring you the California Environmental Quality Act. Now, CEQA was created to protect the environment. As important as it might be, it significantly increases costs and delays. However, in practice, it's used to file lawsuits, delay projects indefinitely, and simply increase legal and compliance costs for investors. A single housing development can spend years in review, with the average being between 12 and 16 months before construction even begins. And time is money. For California, this means longer timelines and higher costs. Those have to be tacked onto the project sale price. Higher costs mean that fewer projects are financially viable. So even when housing gets the green light in Hollywood parlance, it often doesn't get built. If you want more videos that help explain economics and housing without the spin, like and subscribe. Now that we have gotten through the first layers of regulation, we now have to consider production costs. In California, everything is expensive, including material costs. Land is expensive, and there are strict building codes, so you might not be able to be as efficient with the land you do own. Finally, there are labor shortages in the California construction industry. Fewer workers means higher wages. Labor supply is the same as any other commodity. That creates a major shift. Developers don't build middle-income housing. They build luxury apartments and high-end homes, because those are the only projects that actually make financial sense. When costs are high, only expensive housing gets built. When there is a lack of mid-tier housing, the middle class gets squeezed. There's another piece that doesn't get talked about enough. California Proposition 13. This law limits how much property taxes can increase over time. Sounds good for homeowners, and it is. But it also creates a strange incentive for local governments. Another unintended consequence. Cities generate more revenue from commercial development, especially through sales taxes, than they do from new housing. So, the incentive is clear. Approve retail, approve office space, and slow walk housing. Commercial districts thrive, while housing shortages push people out of the market entirely. When you combine all of this, you have decades of underbuilding. Restrictive zoning and community opposition force regulatory delays. This means high construction costs. Tax laws create misaligned incentives, so you don't just get expensive housing, you get a system that produces scarcity by design. This is why California needs 1.8 million to 3 million new homes just to catch up with demand. This is why California can't make a dent in the 181,000 homeless that live there. California isn't out of land. It isn't out of builders. And it certainly isn't lacking demand. It's constrained by its own system. A system where they have slow building, high costs, misaligned incentives. That's the recipe. That's how you create scarcity in one of the richest places on Earth. The bigger question is, which state is next? If you want to understand where housing is headed next and how it affects you, hit like and subscribe. Because this problem, it's not staying in California,